June 6th of 84, 40 years after Dwight Eisenhower was at, Barb, where'd we put Dwight? Oh, here he is, D-Day, 40 years later. Now those boys are 62, 63, 64, my age. Ronald Reagan gave a speech and he said, "Will, why? Why did you climb those cliffs? Why did you drive those tanks, sail those ships, and fly those planes? Why?" He said, "I know why. Freedom." And that's the picture of those guys. James Harvell, black custodian in Pascagoula, Mississippi at a Baptist all-white church. Our church from Wisconsin went down there 6 times between 2005 and 6 for Hurricane Katrina. He and I became the best friends. Do you remember my name? Jefferson Davis in the Deep South with a black guy. The only white guy at James' funeral 2 summers ago right now was this guy. Because James and I were like this. And he was a Cajun. He was from Louisiana. And he could never talk so you could understand it. And my name to him was Jefferson Davis. Okay. Shoot. Mr. Vandermouse, you guys know where, who said the polka thing? The 2 people back there. Is that Plasky? Okay, do you know the Vandermouse family? They own the feed mill in Gillette. Okay, just say yes to help me. Okay, yeah, you know them. Yeah, okay. They got, okay, thank you, yeah. That's Mr. Vandermouse. He owned the feed mill in Gillette. You knew that. He passed away 3 years ago in October at the Oconto Falls nursing home. And I would drive up from Menominee Falls and hang out with him. He was a Battle of the Bulge survivor, World War II. His job was to flank the tanks to make sure that snipers didn't take out anyone. A missile was lobbed into the tank, and the people in front of him, 100 yards, took them all out. That's Mr. Vandermouse. Guess who sang at his funeral? Guess who went to see him just 2 weeks before he died, and he didn't know who I was because he was nearing the end of his life. When I got there, I looked at him and I said, "Hey, Mr. Vandermouse, it's Jefferson Davis. I brought my guitar. I was going to sing and entertain him and the family or the people downstairs." He said, "I don't know you." He hadn't come downstairs from his room for 2 or 3 months. I said, "Mr. Vandermouse, it's Jefferson Davis, your son Mike's best friend." "I don't know you." I said, "That's okay, Mr. Vandermouse. I'll go downstairs and sing, and I'll come back up and we'll hang out." So I go downstairs and I look out of the corner of my eye. Guess who was coming with his walker? Mr. Vandermouse. He figured it out. A couple more quick things. Crossing the Delaware, Abraham Lincoln quote. We already talked about Gettysburg Address, the most famous 268 words in the history of the world. Starts out with 7 years ago. How many years is that? 87, I'll help you out. And we got Rules for Radical from Saul Alinsky, horrible, rotten behaving person. So that's kind of the introduction and the flavor. And guess what? All of you could have the same display because you're here tonight for the same reason that I am. And every single thing up here is not unique in any way whatsoever. We all are in the same thing together. So that's a quick introduction. Okay, where are we now? How did we get here and where are we now? I'm convinced of this. This is my opinion. Do you guys all remember September, October 2019? We were building the border wall. We were getting conservatives on the Supreme Court. Unemployment was low. Employment was high. Hispanics, blacks, suburban women were all going to vote for Trump. He was going to win in a landslide. We repatriated money that was offshore, brought it back home, 10% one-time fee. We traded with China a new agreement. We put tariffs on them. The Mexican-Canadian, we got that fixed. We were energy independent. We had gas around $2 an hour. We had baby formula. We had everything we wanted, we had in this country, right? Until January of 2020. Do you remember what happened then? Little thing starts with a co and ends with a vid, right? Now let's just be frank and candid with each other. It's time to put the pencils down and get the pens out and start writing some things down. We know where it came from. We know who created it. We know how it was released, and we know who funded it. And it's a guy from America called Fauci with your money. And history will show that the whole reason they did this was for 2 reasons. Because there are too many people in this country that hate this country and want to destroy it in partnership with a country that starts with ch and ends with Ina. All right? That was the whole plan. And I will stand by that. But how did that affect election integrity? Because the Democrat Party, with their 8-point plan, went to Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, the senator, and said, Amy, what you gonna do? I think I could. No, that's a different song. Sorry about that. That's Pure Prairie League. Sorry. Anyhow, they said, you want to be president? She goes, of course I do. We got this for you. And she goes, how? And they told her the cheating plan. She goes, nope. I'm not going down for this. Then they went to Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts, Pocahontas, and said, hey, we got this for you. Do you want? Yeah, I want to be president. How are you going to do it? Nope, not even Elizabeth Warren would agree to this. And then they went to Kamala Harris and said, hey, Kamala, do you want to? Yeah. And then they went to Pete Buttigieg, and they went to Cory Booker, and then they went to Bernie Sanders, and free. Everything is free. And then they went to, who's the last guy? Joe Biden. Here's what happened. I'm convinced of this. Joe Biden was taking a nap, and he was having a very, very deep dream in January of 2020 because they tried everything to destroy this country, and by extension, President Trump. His family, the Russian hoax, impeachment, you name it. They had to destroy this country. So Joe's taking a nap. Jill comes in, and he's having this deep dream that he's the president of the United States. He was finishing 5th out of 4 candidates, but he still thought he was president. And Jill said, Joe, do you want to be president? And he woke up and he said, yes. That's how he got the nomination, because you remember in February of 2020 in South Carolina, all of the other candidates simultaneously the same weekend dropped out. And there was a black congressman from South Carolina by the name of James Clyburn, and with his heavy, deep Southern accent said, Joe Biden is a friend of mine. Joe Biden is a good man, and Joe Biden will make a good president. I'm voting for... Joe Biden won South Carolina, and he won every one afterwards. Do you remember in April when he and Bernie Sanders were the only 2 left? Why do you think Bernie stayed on the ballot? To get the Supreme Court person the win. She didn't win. We won. They cheated and did the same thing then. Okay, back to reality here. So this is 2020. Now we're going to get into the 8-point plan. Feel free to jot down these notes, because what I'm going to share with you and show with you will absolutely blow you away. Number 1, here's what they did. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of pages and documents that we've copied, so that when you leave here tonight, you're disturbed, you're challenged, but you're hopeful. Because if you think Joe Biden won the state of Wisconsin by 20,682 votes, and he's currently the legitimate president of the United States of America, then just drive not very far from here, about 15 minutes, to a stadium called Lambeau Field, because I'm the starting quarterback for the Packers. That is not true. And Joe Biden is not the president. Here's what they did in 2020, and they're going to do the same exact thing in 2022 because we have proof of it, and I'll show you tonight. The first thing they did with the far door handle on your left, my right is, and you probably remember this, they flooded the zone, they being the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and big tech billionaire nonprofit groups through Arabella Advisors, and I'll give you the 7 names that we've discovered here in Wisconsin already for this section, or this election cycle. Here's the first thing they did. This is my son that got killed in Florida. He's still on the voter rolls. This is a voter registration form sent to my deceased son to register to vote. And if you don't think they're not going to do it again in 2022, like my dad used to say on the farm when he would explain the garden and the cattle and the chickens and the poop and the pee and the birds and the bees, after he would explain it, he'd say, Jefferson Emery, I can't help you if you can't understand this. So what the Democrats did is first of all, they flooded the zone with registration requests. Why? Because if we look at the Wisconsin Election Commission voter rolls, and please, I beg you, take a picture of this poster board. There are 7.2 million names on the Wisconsin voter rolls. We only have 5.9 million people in Wisconsin, and of those 5.9 million in 2020, only 4.6 million were age 18 or older, and of those 4.6 million, only 3.5 million were eligible registered voters, and of the 3.5 million, 3.3 million supposedly voted. I'll do the math for you. That is a 94% turnout. Does anyone in this room think the entire state of Wisconsin averaged a 94% turnout? The answer is no. Well, there's 3 ways of recording voter turnout. There's VAP, voter age population, 18 or older, VEP, VEP, voter eligible population. You might be a felon, but you can't vote. Or there's the registered voter turnout, RVT. That's the one that we use, and we've got all the data here. And we matched it with what the clerks sent to the Wisconsin Election Commission to what our software program, and they match perfectly. Here's what the Wisconsin Election Commission wants you to believe with their voter rolls, because they're going to do it again in 2022. We have a plan to fix that, which I'll share with you in a second. So of the 3.3 million names, 2 million voted absentee. There's 4 ways in 2020 that you could vote absentee. Early in person, mail your ballot back in, nursing homes. It's going to make you sick what I share with you about nursing homes. And the last way is, did I say the ballot drop boxes? Those were the 4 ways to vote. Mail it back in, early in person, nursing home, or the ballot. What I'm going to share with you tonight will turn your stomach. And I hope most of you are done eating, except go ahead, continue. Yeah, I won't. I'll just hold up. When you're ready. Okay. Just stay away from these 2 ladies over here. Yeah, thank you. Wow. So 2 million voted. Guess how many of the 2 million ballots across the entire, that's 60% of the 3.3 million. That never happens in the state of Wisconsin. You normally have a 10 or 20% absentee ballot turnout. We had 60 because of COVID. What a bunch of nonsense. Anyhow, guess how many ballots were rejected out of 2 million? You're way high. Someone said 5. 0.002, or 4,270. Normally, it's a 2 to 3% rejection rate if you're missing a name, an address, a signature, a witness, whatever. But in the worst pandemic in the history of mankind in America, 4,270, and we had 3.3 million. Do you know how many Bill Clinton had in 1996? 2.1. Are you telling me in 24 years, we've had an increase of 1.2 million people, voters? Stop it, and you're going to see how they did it. Then they also want you to believe on their voter rolls that nearly 1 million new people registered to vote in Wisconsin in 2020 from January 1st to November 3rd. Do you believe that? I don't either. That's what's called anecdotal evidence. We're going to have evidentiary evidence by the time the night's over. Then they also want you to believe that the indefinitely confined went from 66,000 to 267,000. We'll get into that. Then they want you to believe the Eric's Mover list of 232,000 people who do not live in Wisconsin anymore. That's okay because you're disenfranchising them if you take them off the list. This just goes on and on and on with these people. And I'll tell you the remedy when we get to that point. So they flooded the zone with registration requests. Why? Because they have an extra 3.7 million names. Got that? 3.5 are eligible registered voters, but they have an extra 3.7 million names. Guess what? I can guarantee you my son's going to get another one of these this year. And so are your deceased family members, because they're still on the list. The second thing they did with door number 1 is they sent out these absentee ballot request forms. This is for me. I've never voted absentee ballot. I always vote in person because I want to put that ballot in the machine. Don't you ever vote absentee. If you do, you're a fool. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful because you have no guarantee whatsoever. I have no guarantee if I put it in that stupid machine in Menominee Falls, if that's going to be recorded. And you'll see why here in a few minutes. So they're going to do the same thing in 2022. Why do we know that? I had a lady come up to me Tuesday night in Stevens Point with Fred and that gentleman in the whatever color you call that, lime green, and his wife, Colin. Is that her name? I had a lady come up to me. She said, Jefferson, I have 4 absentee ballot requests. I said, did you ask for them? No. I said, when did you get them? She wrote it on the back, July 5th, April 25th, April 26th, and July 5th. You're going to get the same things. I'm asking you tonight, do not throw these away. Please save them. Get them to Sandy Rodriguez, get them to Barb, get them to Corey, get to the I Love Tacos, get them to some of those people because we're going to have a major press conference with the sheriff's departments and we're going to say, listen, Do not be duped by this nonsense, because the Democrats, the big tech billionaires, the nonprofit groups are going to do the same exact thing because they've got 3.7 million names to work with. I digress. So door number 2, understand when Mark Zuckerberg came to Wisconsin with his $10.3 million, and you guys, I'm going to apologize to you now, are the biggest cesspool in Wisconsin. Brown County. But we have good news. We have really good news about Brown County tonight. Really good news with Sheriff Delane and his detectives. And I think maybe his aunt is here, or uncle. You're the one that stopped in where my wife works? Shut up. You're the one? Your reputation precedes you. She said you were very charming and attractive. And I concur. You were talkative? She did not say that part, but now I see it. Yes, okay. So my wife comes home from work. She goes, honey, you won't believe what happened. I said, what's that? Well, someone saw one of your presentations, and they saw the door handles, and you said that your wife works at this place, and this lady just walked in and introduced herself and said, my nephew, Sheriff Delane. And I said, are you kidding me? Well, then she gave me your notes with your email and your phone number, and I think you invited me to come over to your house. I can't remember the rest of it. But anyhow, I just made that up. I just made that part up. But I will if you want. Don't tell my wife, though, okay? Wait a minute, this is being recorded over there. ZZ Top over there. Turn it down. All right. She is? Okay, I will let her know you feel that way. Yeah, she feels the same way about you. Okay, so door number 2 was when they came to Wisconsin with their $10.3 million. Now, you got to remember, that's chicken feed for Mark Zuckerberg, right? So he came to Wisconsin with $10.3 million. One of his points that he wanted to do is he wanted to develop a software program and marry it to the 7.2 million names on the Wisconsin voter roll. Why? Because they knew who was active and inactive, who was activated and deactivated, dead, alive, registered, not registered, moved. They knew everything with this software program and that voter list. So they checked every single day, down to the ward street level, because they knew Donald Trump was going to win Wisconsin. They saw the same polls and the anecdotal evidence all over the state of Wisconsin and America that this man was going to be reelected in a landslide, and he was. But they had to come up with this 8-point plan to make sure that didn't happen. So with this software program, they went to the Wisconsin Election Commission, and 58 times during 2020, 58 times, here's the big tech billionaires and their nonprofit groups, they bought this list 58 times, 7.2 million names. Why? As Ronald Reagan would say, why? Because they had to get their numbers to come out. And we'll come back to this in a second. So then with door number 2, when their registrations weren't coming back, when the absentee ballot requests weren't coming back to get their numbers, then number 2, this will turn your stomach. They said, let's go to the nursing homes. Are you kidding me? There are 3 most vulnerable members of our population in this state. Little precious born and unborn babies, people in a nursing home, and mentally or physically challenged people that live amongst us. Am I right? Well, guess what the Democrats did? Because they went to the Wisconsin Election Commission and said, we cannot have special voting deputies going to the nursing homes because they're going to kill all the nursing home residents and by extension themselves. What a bunch of nonsense. So the special voting deputies are supposed to go to the nursing homes to make sure that I got it going on and that I fill that ballot out and that I sign the name and verify my address, and then I have a witness, name, address, and signature. Guess what happened in 2020? Not that. Why? Because WEC said you didn't have to. Here's what happened. We got the evidence. On any given day in October, November of 2020, in the 1,121 long-term care facilities in Wisconsin that fall into one of 4 categories: adult daycare, you know people in these places, hospice, full-fledged nursing home care, or assisted living, there's 92,000 people on any given day in those 1,121 homes. Justice Gableman, to his credit, and one of our volunteer teams, we did a little research. Justice Gableman, in his report, interim report, March 1st at the Capitol, some of you were there, went to 91 in Racine, Kenosha, Brown, Madison, and Milwaukee, to 91 nursing homes out of the 1,121. They personally interviewed, reviewed their voting records from My Vote Wisconsin, or videotaped them, 3,301 residents in one of those 4 types of facilities. Guess how many of them voted without the special voting deputies in 2020? 3,261. I'll do the math. That's 98.9%. Do you know what normally turnout is in a nursing home for voting? 5%. 92,000. It's in this report. And if you want your stomach turned just a little bit more, we went to King and Chippewa Falls and Union Grove. Do you know what those 3 communities have? Veterans Administration nursing homes. Tuesday night when I was with Fred over in Stevens Point, I had a lady come up to me just like you here tonight. She said, Mr. Davis, I worked at the King nursing home. I guess it's over by Stevens Point. Is it Wapaka? She said, I worked there. She said, are you telling me that almost all of our men and ladies that have no idea what's going on voted? I said, Connie, let me show you. Can you imagine doing this every day? Union Grove, King, Chippewa Falls. Almost all of them voted. She said, that's impossible, Mr. Davis. I said, no, it's not. This is the data from WEC. So by extension, to support Justice Gableman and make sure that your residents, your family members rather, are never violated by these people ever again of their dignity, their identity, and their vote, we're working with Justice Gableman to put together reports because we have law enforcement agencies in this state that take this very seriously. Here's an example of just one county that our volunteer team put together from 6 data points. Number 1, they have their resident's name and birthday. Number 2, they have that you're registered with My Vote Wisconsin. Number 3, they have that you voted in November. Number 4, they have your obituary. Number 5, they had the name and address of your nursing home and the data from WEC. So all 6 of those data points are put in this. This is one county, 6 nursing homes, 70-some people, and they all voted, and none of them remember. The operative number that you have to get to do what Robin Voss said we can do today, this is so cool. I'm so thankful for the Democrats, this miracle that they've given us. Let's be frank again. I'm serious. Because, you know, when Mitt Romney got beat in 12 and John McCain got beat in 8 and all that, we all said, oh man, that's just so bad, but we'll put up more yard signs, we'll donate a little more money, we'll make a few more phone calls, we'll knock on a few more doors like Nathan's doing, and those of you have, we'll get them next. No, you're never going to get them next time unless we fix this. So that nursing home situation is extremely sensitive to me because my dad is still on there, my son Aaron's on there, my wife's mom and dad are on there, my aunt, I sang at her funeral and spoke in February of this, she's on there. All of your family members that you know that died, they're on there. I guarantee you, go to My Vote Wisconsin tonight, they're all on there. They're part of the 7.2 million. So that was the nursing home. We've closed that loophole this year because special voting deputies are now back on. And the Democrats aren't going to be able to just take a wad of ballots. Your first name, please? Hey, Joe, do you mind if I use you? You're a good man. So they're just not going to be able to just take a wad of ballots to the nursing home and say, we'll see you in a week. And here's what we found out. based on the investigation. The workers. Wouldn't you think one nursing home administrator would have raised her hand and said, we're not doing this? Wouldn't you think one Democrat would have raised their hand in this state and said, we cannot do it? We're not one, except Chris Teskey. You know that name from Green Bay, the city clerk? She said, I'm out of here. She resigned. I think she's at Ashwaubenon now. She doesn't want to talk about this. I don't blame her, because they will destroy her if she opens her mouth. This is hateful, dark, evil, awful, rotten, despicable behavior. And as a born-again Christian, when I wake up every day, I go, Lord, are you serious? I get to do this again? Go hang out with those guys up there in Green Bay at, what's the name of this place, Barb? Let's go with that. And I said, Lord, would you do me one thing today? Would you make me a lot less like Jefferson Davis and a lot more like your son, Jesus? And at the end of the day, when I'm absolutely exhausted and I can't keep my eyes open anymore, I get on my knees and I go, Lord, how would I do today? Well, he always does great. It's me that's the mess. But that's the story of redemption. That's the story of sanctification, that he gives us a new opportunity every single day. So when we look at this, and we look at the flooding the zone with the absentee ballot request and the registration request in the nursing home, their numbers weren't coming out. So they said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? Okay, now we're going to tell everybody to vote early in person. So we'll flood the zone with that. So when you go see your clerk, you show them your ID. They give you a ballot, you fill it out, you put it in the envelope, you verify your name, your address, you sign it, the clerk witnesses it, you turn it back in, it's counted on election night. Guess what? Here in Brown County, I don't know if they're here tonight, and I'm not going to mention them by name, but we had people at Central Count in Green Bay the night of the election. There she is. There they are. Oh, hey, thanks you guys. Thank you. And I will let you share your names with these folks later. But what the Democrats didn't know is that those rascals were there. You can't believe what these people witnessed the night of the election, but guess what? Those rascals took pictures. Guess what? We turned the evidence over to Brown County. And you want to talk about passionate, intense, love this country, God and their family? There's two examples right there. And they are not going to let go of this until we get it fixed. So then they said, okay, vote early in person. Their numbers weren't coming out. Then they said, mail your ballots back in. Their numbers weren't coming out. Then they said, so now we're up to 5. We got to stuff the ballot drop boxes, and that's where these two rascals come in. Because here's what happened. Whew, this is just exhausting. It really is. If this is not on your outline, please write it down. truethevote.org. And the name's Greg Phillips and Catherine Engelbrecht. We have, by extension, established a relationship with them. And thanks to those two rascals who are here tonight, by extension, True the Vote came to the Capitol in Madison. Some of you were there. It was packed. You couldn't hardly get a seat. And these two people, you won't believe this, these two people, out of their pocket, have spent millions of dollars, because the Democrats sue them every day. They've spent about $2 million in legal fees. And when they come out with what they're going to come out with next Friday, July 22nd, these people do not mince words. What do you got, Corey?
I found the bathroom.
You found the bathroom. Good.
Do you remember what I asked you to do?
To thank Andrewsies?
5.
Oh, yeah, 5 things. Want me to do that right now?
Well, no.
Okay, thank you, honey. Is there anything
I
else?
get to pick anything.
No, I understand. Thank you. And
Correctly.
thank you. Thank you, Corey. Barb?
I know.
Thank you, Barb. Okay, so where was I? Let that be the last interruption. So anyhow, thank you. Oh, now she's coming back. I feel like I'm at home. Okay, so truethevote.org. Give them as much money as you can, because they are instrumental in what these two rascals witnessed the night of the election, by extension, from this perspective. The Democrats are so good to us. Because the first four things, early registration, absentee ballot requests, nursing homes, vote early in person, mail your ballot back in, this one they thought they got us. They thought they got us on door number 5. But the Democrats are so, and I don't mean this to be critical, they're just plain dumb. And they put their phones in their pockets when they went and got the, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of ballots. Where did the Democrats get them from? Churches and non-governmental organizations. Now, those two rascals know, because of their involvement in working with me, and I'm eternally grateful. I don't even know where I met you. I don't care, but I just feel like we're family. Oh, I know where. At the Sherwood Golf Course place. Yeah, thank you. So those two rascals know that True the Vote bought the data from U.S. Cellular, Verizon, Sprint, AT&T. Am I touching base with some of your providers? I'm sorry, do I look okay with these goofy things? Okay. You don't, but no, okay, I'm just kidding. I think I'll take them off. Just kidding. Okay, just kidding. Did you get your food down? Oh, bless your heart. Oh, good. I didn't want to interrupt there. So here's what True the Vote has, including Brown County, Milwaukee, and Racine. They know who put the ballots in the drop boxes in Brown, Racine, and Milwaukee. How do they know that? There's a technology called geospatial technology that every law enforcement agency in the United States of America at every level, local, county, state, and federal, uses. Within inches, they know that you went to a ballot drop box. I am showing you, and you can see this afterwards and take pictures. We've redacted their phone numbers because of confidentiality, because Brown County, according to True the Vote, after the March 24th hearing, when they gave me this information, I went up to Catherine and Greg, and one of the Democrats who was still wearing a mask at that time, I think she's in the basement of her mom and dad's home in pajamas and wetting her pants. But anyhow, she had this mask on, and she said to Greg and Catherine, "Have you reported this to the law enforcement agencies?" And I shouted out from the middle of the room, "Pull the mask up so we don't have to." Anyhow, I didn't say that. So Greg and Catherine said no. There's no law enforcement agency anywhere in the United States of America where we've done this in Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin. So I went up to them afterwards because they know who I am because of my volunteer position. I said, "Are you telling me not one person in the entire 330 million people in America have approached you and said, 'We'll work with you with law enforcement'?" "Nope, you're the only guy, Jefferson." I said, "You're spoofing me." "No, we're not." Well, guess what? Guess who I called? Brown County, Racine County, and a few others. Here's the data. 35 times these mules, and they're the same people as Black Lives Matter, Antifa, that tried to fake like we're losing the whole country in the summer of 2020. What a bunch of nonsense. Same phone numbers. For real. Brown County, and I can say this publicly because True the Vote has announced this, otherwise I keep it confidential, and Attorney Angus and Matt know that, and we got to be extremely careful what we say here because we can't compromise the integrity of an investigation, but True the Vote went public with it. Here's the deal. We know your name, Joe, where you live, where you work, where you eat, and where you recreate and play. And here's how it's going to go, Joe. Joe? What's your last name, Joe? Good for you, another German. My gosh. Thought I could get away from a few of them, but you know what they say about Germans, you can always tell one, just not very much. So anyhow, I know this is terrible. Us Welsh and English, we think we know everything. Thank God George Washington beat our pants, right? You're on here, Joe. And we show up at your door, and we go, "Joe, is your phone number, is it 920 up here? Is your phone number 920-346-9287? Yes. This is Officer Diane, Officer Davis. We'd like to talk to you about some suspicious activity between October 20th and November 3rd at the ballot drop boxes here in Green Bay. Joe, would you like to talk about that here, or would you like to come down to the station and then watch the blood go from your head to your feet in about 3 seconds? I got better news, Joe. For Joe, you, not you the cheater. Brown County just turned over to True the Vote on Friday, the same day of the Wisconsin Supreme Court decision on the ballot drop boxes. Ready for this, Joe? The video footage. That's important for 2 reasons. Now we have your facial recognition. If you pulled up in a car, we got your license plate. And you're so dumb, Joe, you didn't leave this thing at home. And then the other thing that we're going to do, Joe, is marry this geospatial cell phone data ping information to the video footage, and it will match perfectly the 35 times you went there. Then by extension, what we're going to do, Joe, is we're going to go to the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and the churches who gave you the ballots. Always in packs of 100, about. Never put more than 10 in any one box because you don't want to set off any red flags. Always do it after midnight, but before 5, because if the lighting's bad, we can't see you very well. But Joe, you're dumb enough. Everybody votes at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah. But you're dumb enough. And when you went to the church and the NGO, you still had this in your pocket. This is my theory. I'm going to digress for 30 seconds. This is where I think the NGOs and the churches got the ballots. Ready for this? Post office. Here's why. The Democrats, along with the Wisconsin Election Commission and Mark Zuckerberg, knew exactly how many people were registered and active, and they purposely and intentionally, they knew when you voted 2012, 2014, you hadn't voted in 5, 6, 8, 10 years, so they purposely activated you on this list, sent an absentee ballot to the address of record, knowing that you did not live there, and knew that it was going to come back because when the postal worker showed up at the address, Joe Burkhart doesn't. Is it Burkhart? Close enough. Joe Burkhart doesn't live here. Well, by postal code, she's required to take it back to the postal station, whether it's Hobart or Hilbert or Howard or any other city that starts with H up here. And then they have to give it to downtown Green Bay to be stored in tubs because of the 22-month USC Code 52 to keep all the receipts. Now, this is my theory, because there's no other plausible explanation for this when we tell you how many ballots we've tracked going into these boxes. It's going to blow you away. And this is going to come out because of True the Vote. Because guess what postal trucks have on them? So stupid. They're just so stupid. So anyhow, we got the video, we got your name, we got the church, we got the NGO, we got the whole package. And it's getting really, really hard to breathe about now. And guess what you're doing? I think you're talking. You bet you are, because you're not going to prison for these guys, because you want to go to the Black Lives Matter protests, right? Of course you do, right? So that's Brown County. We assume, and I don't know this for sure, but how else would you do it if you're in law enforcement? We think the same thing's happening in Racine. We have identified 138 mules that went to these boxes a minimum, I think it's 35 times. 10 ballots each time, 1 mule, 3,500 ballots, $10 a piece, $35,000. And True the Vote is going to expose who gave the churches and the NGOs the money to pay you and you and you and you to do this. That's just 138. Or, on your paper, 137,551 fake ballots. Guess what the Supreme Court said on Friday? Totally illegal. Anything that went into that ballot drop box cannot be counted. It's done. So now do you know why I wet my pants all the time? And it's not because of my wife. Well, sometimes it is, but not tonight. Anyhow, so I'm looking at this and I'm going, you guys are so stupid. We believe, we've just done this in the last 24 hours after the decision. We took the top 20 most populated communities in Wisconsin, and the 958,000 first-time voter registrations in 2020 would be the equivalent of every man, woman, and child in Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, and then throw in Eau Claire, Wausau, Racine. Every single person in every single one of them, stop it. That's what they did with the ballot drop boxes. Because I believe that they took the tubs from downtown Green Bay out to the churches and the NGO, because they had to get the ballots from somewhere. this is so incredible, you won't believe this. So we did another data analysis, and we said, how come the voter registration rolls just before the election went up by 300,000? And then just after the election, they went down by 300,000. Now that's anecdotal, but if we get a whistleblower, which I think we will, we're going to be able to explain it. Here's what happened. Nathan knows this, he helped me. We looked at every single county in Wisconsin just a few weeks before the November election. And then we looked at every single Wisconsin county by December 1st. Every single county in the state of Wisconsin went up by 7%. And then a few months after the election, I think it was August of 21, they all went down by about 7%. This is just crazy, but I'm so thankful for these dumb Democrats. But anyhow, I digress. So True the Vote is going to ratchet this up, and they're going to name the churches and the NGOs and the billionaires who gave you the money to pay you guys, and they have taken it to the next level where they think it's an international fraud. And they're going to name by next Friday. So if you get on my email list, we'll get that to you as soon as, because this is serious. Starts with a sh and ends with a. This is serious stuff, and we cannot have it happen again. We believe those top 20 populated cities in Wisconsin, just those 20, had 637,000 absentee ballots. 637,000. The city of Milwaukee openly admits that half of their absentee ballots were put in the boxes. For them, they had 170,000 absentee ballots, do the math, 85,000 were in the ballot drop boxes, which is a multiple of 4 of the 20,682. This election is over. And we'll get to the remedy here at the end, and then we'll open up to questions. So that's the ballot drop. We think they probably did somewhere around 300 to 350,000, door number 5, which the Supreme Court, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for Rebecca Bradley and Justice Hagedorn and Rogan Sack and Ziegler. Elections matter with integrity. Otherwise, Wisconsin is toast. Door number 6. This gets a little hairy. So the Wisconsin Election Commission, thanks to the Democrats, said in 2020, and what an insult, if you are indefinitely confined to your home. If you're confined to a wheelchair, or you've got Parkinson's, or whatever it is, God love you. My wife and I wake up and go, who can we help serve today to make their life a little bit easier and a little bit more enjoyable? Because we're blessed beyond, you can't imagine how we're blessed. And I go, Lord, just use me. Please, I beg. I stopped to see my pastor, who mentored me over 40 years ago as a young, undisciplined man back in Portage, over by Wisconsin Dells and Baraboo. He's 74 now. He's nearing the end of his life. Guess who goes up there and sees him from Menominee Falls to Sun Prairie at least once a week, and we just hang out and talk and laugh and talk about the Lord and sing songs? Me and Pastor Steve. Just saw him yesterday on the way home from seeing Fred and that rascal over there in Stevens Point. And I say to myself, if you're indefinitely confined, how can it make a difference in your life? Here's how the Democrats think you can do it. In 2020, they went from 66,000 out of 3.5 million registered voters, kind of a minuscule amount. They ballooned it to 267,000. Openly, brazenly, unapologetically, falsely got the designation to be indefinitely confined. Why is that important? You don't have to show your voter ID. You're automatically mailed a ballot, whether you want one or not, until you're redesignated. We passed legislation this year. If you got that designation between March 1st of 2020 and November 6th of 2020, you have to requalify. Guess who vetoed it? Tony Evers. Hi, I'm Tony Evers. Where am I supposed to? Well, that's Joe Biden. Oh, sorry about that. But anyhow, great guys. So 267, guess how many of the 267,000, according to WEC, voted in 2020? Close, 220,000, and didn't have to show voter ID. So now, 92,000 in the nursing home, 137,000 in the ballot drop boxes, probably more like 350,000. 220,000 indefinitely confined. Number 7, we'll get to this one, and then we'll get to the night of the election, and then we'll talk about the remedy and do questions. How are we doing for time? Okay, Barbara? Yeah? When's this supposed to be over? Well, they're not doing anything. We'll just keep going. Yeah, exactly. And if nothing else, we'll just do it tomorrow night. What the heck? Yeah. So Eric's mover list. This is on your outline. You're not going to believe this either. Eric's mover list stands for Electronic Registration Information Center. Guess who founded and funded that company? Correctamundo. Guess who the CEO is of that place? David Becker. Guess who is the chairman of the board of directors for Eric and David Becker? Megan Wolf. She is the Wisconsin Election Commission Director of Elections. Now, let me ask you a question, Joe. What city are you from? You are. Joe's from Green Bay. He's the chairman of the Green Bay School Board. And where is Barb? Barb is the school superintendent for the city of Green Bay School District. But you're the chairman of the board. You and her have a contract for the health insurance for all Green Bay School District employees. And you don't disclose that. How long, Joe, as school board president and school superintendent, do you think the two of you would last when that was found out here in Green Bay? Yeah, about 5 minutes. Give me your phone, your keys, clean your desk out. We'll stay here until you're done, Joe and Barb, right? Not the Wisconsin Election Commission. They see absolutely nothing wrong with that. Why? Because there's 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. And some of the Republicans vote with the Democrats on this nonsense. And people say, well, Davis, you're so smart, and you talk really fast, and you seem knowledgeable, and you look okay. What's your idea? Here's my idea for the Wisconsin Election Commission. 40 out of 50 states have the administration of elections through the Secretary of State's office in some form, shape, or manner, either directly or indirectly. We don't have that in Wisconsin. Here's our idea. Joe, you are a voter data analyst company. All you do all day long is you analyze data. We're going to hire you because you're a private sector guy, you're accredited, we vet you, and we hire you as our private sector contractor. But Joe, we got some questions. So that really attractive lady behind you with a pretty smile is an accredited private sector voter data auditor. She's cleaner than clean because we vetted her. And if you're screwing up, she's going to tell us. Now, who does she tell that to? In real time. None of this nonsense about every 30 days. It's every day, all day long. Working with the Social Security Office, the Division of Motor Vehicles, we're going to clean that list, get rid of those 3.7. If you're dead, for gosh sakes, you're not on this list. If you live in Missouri, you're not on this list, Joel. You agree? So does she. Tell me your first name again. Deanne. May I call you Deanne? Thank you, Deanne. She stayed up with me till like 1 o'clock in the morning at Culver's somewhere after the governor's debate with her other friends, the colonel or the general or whatever she is, you and your sister. I fell asleep going home, but anyhow, we had a blast. It was fun. What are you doing tomorrow? Okay, so then she's the, what's your first name again? Yeah, that's right, Melissa, you're a mess. That's right. So she's the Secretary of State. So you are the 3 firewalls. Private sector, it's all you do all day long. Auditor, Secretary of State, and you 3 in real time have to update this. We got the capability of doing that in the technology. Are you goofy? Here's the 4th firewall. The colonel is the chairman of the Assembly Elections and Campaign Committee. You're going to ask these 3 rascals to come to you every 30 days and give an actuarial account of those 3.5 million names every 30 days until we get it fixed. Does that make sense compared to what we have now? Right? That's pretty simple. So then, door number 7, when they didn't get the numbers to come out, with Eric's movers list, with the indefinitely confined, and all of these on this side, here's what they did with Eric's mover list. You're not going to believe this. According to their report, there were 232,000 names on the Eric's mover list who George Soros founded and funded and has David Becker doing it. We have a contract with this guy. We have to pay him, and Megan Wolf is the chairman of the board of his. Are you kidding? Get out. So, 232,000 names. We sued the Wisconsin Election Commission, said you need to remove those names now. Not remove them, but deactivate them. Of course, the Wisconsin Election Commission, Democrats and Republicans said, oh no, there's COVID and we don't want to disenfranchise anybody and they might wet their pants and oh my gosh, stop. And so they kept them on the list. They won at the Supreme Court level. Guess who cast the tie-breaking vote? Justice Hagedorn, to keep them on the list. Guess how many of the 232,000 voted in the 2020 election? 70,000. And they don't even live here. This is sick. So after the election, Wisconsin has a very good state statute that says if you haven't voted in 4 years, after every general election, 12, 14, 16, we send you a postcard. And it says, Melissa, you haven't voted in 4 years. Would you like to stay on the list? Send it back. No, send it back. Or you can just throw it away. Guess what the numbers came out in June of 2021 after the election and the 70,000 people? 187,000 postcards were sent out. 12,000 sent them back and said, please keep me on the list, and we verified it. 63,000 came back to the Wisconsin Election Commission and said, they don't live there. They're with Joe Burkhart. He doesn't live there. 112,000 never came back. They're at a landfill over in Hobart. Are you kidding me? But we've got that loophole closed down to a minuscule amount. Not because of anything Eric's done or WEC's done, it's just because we cleaned it up and we put the pressure on them. So the nursing homes, the ballot drop boxes, the Eric's mover list, and are you starting to get some numbers here? It's going to be really, really hard for the Democrats to cheat, which is why they're flooding the zone already with 7 different nonprofit groups. Write these down, please, because you're going to get them in the mail, and they're going to text you, email you, mail them, or leave a voicemail message. You ready? And I'll try and go slow. Third Act. Yeah, third, as in first, second, third. Yes, correct. That would be a numerical, but this would be the written. What's her name again? Marge? Just kidding. Okay, that's enough out of you. Okay, third act, your vote matters. Voter Information Center. Voter participation. I'm sorry. Voter Information Center. Voter participation, is that 4? Turbo vote. For Our Future, is that 6? Voter Information Center is voter participation. Did you get Your Vote Matters? Did you get Turbo Vote? Did you get Third Act? And then For Our Future, Wisconsin. That should be 7. Is that 6? Well, let's just go with 6 for now then. Is that 7? Thank you, Mrs. Delane. Appreciate you. I'll say hi to Joan for you. So that's 7. And I'm going to ask you again, please save these. These are people from all over Wisconsin that have just gotten these in the last couple, 3 months. Plus the lady up at Stevens Point with Fred and the guy in the yellow lime green shirt. You're going to be blitzed with these. And they're fishing for one thing. And it's not F-I-S-H, it's P-H-I-S-H. They're fishing for your ballot. Don't you think they aren't? And we're going to have a public service announcement with the sheriffs. So that's the first 7. The last one, this is going to make you sick. Just give me a second here. Is that 6? See me afterwards. See me afterwards, and I'll give you this. It's in this folder. Yeah, I apologize. Got a lot going on in this attention deficit disorder of mine. So here's the night of the election. At midnight, Donald Trump is winning Wisconsin by 100. This is door number 8. Donald Trump was winning the state of Wisconsin by 110,000, give or take. And I thought, I was like the insomniac, dyslexic atheist. I stayed up all night trying to figure out if there really was a dog. Because I thought, okay, is he going to win? 110,000 at midnight, he's up. Do you all remember what happened between 3:26 and 3:24 when Matt and Janet were at Central Count in downtown Green Bay with all of the pinstripe suited attorneys from New York to California and every state in between? They took their names down. They took their titles. They took what law firm they were with. They got the sign-in. We gave it all to Brown County because those people witnessed what I'm going to tell you right now. So here's the deal. The night of the election, Donald Trump is ahead by 110 at midnight. At 3:26 in the morning, a wonderful lady named Claire Woodall Vogue, Milwaukee elections clerk. She would be similar to your Celestin Jeffries. Not good people, behaviorally. They might be good people, but they don't behave. No, I don't think so either. Anyhow, just sorry about that ZZ Top over there. So what Claire Woodall Vogue didn't realize the night of the election, with Donald Trump winning by 110,000, and we thought, okay, maybe he's got it. But the same thing happened in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, exactly at the same time that we're talking about here in Wisconsin. Why? Because they did the same thing there. At 3:26 in the morning, I'm going to read the receipt here for you in a second. Claire Woodall Vogue says, I can't find my flash drive. You know what a flash drive is for, right? You store stuff on it, you go to the print shop, put it in, print it. She had 170,000 ballots backed up on a flash drive that they needed because Donald Trump was ahead by so much. So all of a sudden, she found the flash drive. What Claire Woodall Vogue doesn't know is that we had a reporter followed her every move that night, and they wrote a story about it. And some of the police officers that were following her for security have talked to us. Just like Janet witnessed and Matt witnessed in Brown County, but this is Milwaukee County. Just change the heads. It's all the same behavior. So she got the flash drive out. She put it in at 3:26 in the morning, November 4th. By 3:44, 18 minutes later, just like Rosemary Woods during Richard Nixon's administration when she accidentally erased 18 minutes of the tapes, Claire Woodall Vogue in 18 minutes changed the history of the world, because when Wisconsin went to numbnuts, the whole country went to numbnuts. Here's what she did. She put it in the tabulator. The first 20,000, because it's Milwaukee County, we've got to have a few votes for Donald Trump, went to Donald Trump. Now he's ahead by 130,000. But guess who the remaining 150,682 went to win by 20,682? Numbnuts. Can I read you an email that she sent out laughing about this? You can take a picture of it. It's going to make you sick. You got to find it first. Here it is. Come on, what's going on up there? Boy, what a rough crowd. Is he a Democrat? Gee. Do me a favor before I read the email to you. Write this website down. This is our website, Stat Bandit. Stat, Sam, Tom, Apple, Tom. Bandit, like Smoking the Bandit, all one word, www.statbandit.com. And Barb, would you go there, please, and then just pull up your polling place? When you go to that website, you're going to see a map of the state of Wisconsin, all 72 counties in blue, with a search menu right above it where you can put in your county. Barbara's going to do a test run for us. We developed this software program based on WEX data of the 94% turnout. She's going to pull that up, and then she's going to come up here and show us what her polling place, the turnout was. You won't believe it. Did you find it, Barb? Oh, well, don't snap at me, Dino. I'll take your tacos away. What the heck? Oh, and by the way, remember the $10.3 million that I told you, what's his name came here to Wisconsin with? You want to see that? It's right here. You're one of the biggest culprits in the whole state of Wisconsin, taking this dirty, rotten off. Not you personally, but Celestin Jeffries and what's his name, Freilich or Genrich or whatever your mayor's name is. He'll be in an orange suit pretty soon. We're going to have one big heck of a party. And remember why they did this? This was for COVID. And every community in Wisconsin was going bankrupt because they didn't have enough money. That's why we did it. What a bunch of hogwash. It was to steal the election. They still have $2.5 million of the $10.3 million left over. Shut up. Sorry about that, Mom. But anyhow, if you want to see it, it's up here. And if you want to see the contract, between Mayor Genrich and Mark, don't go anywhere, Barb, and Mark Zuckerberg, here it is. This was not for COVID. This was to steal the election. Because what I'm going to read to you right now, he sent his people in here to run the elections in Green Bay, Racine, Kenosha, Milwaukee, and Madison. Janet and Matt witnessed it firsthand at Central Count when they had total control. What? Oh, would you forgive me? You guys kind of look alike? Okay. Well, tonight you're Janet, Polly. But I'm not going to argue with that big guy behind you. His arms are as big as my legs. My goodness gracious. And he's probably got a gun on him too, Polly. Watch out. But here's the contract. It very succinctly says, if you don't do exactly as we tell you to do with your elections, we're pulling the money back. I beg you to come and take a picture of this. And when you go to the next city council meeting, you ask Alderman Campbell and Alderman Eck, Melinda. Those two rascals are in our camp. And they want to get to the bottom of this, so does Brown County. Are you with me? Come here, pumpkin. That's what I call my wife. Sorry about that. Sorry, honey. All right.
Is this what you need?
Yeah, that's it. So, thank you. Okay, that's enough out of him, Polly. Polly Janet, that's your middle name. So this is what it looks like when you get to the website. Our data that WEC got from the clerks, all three match perfectly. Which one is yours, Barb?
I'm De Pere.
You're De Pere? So can you show it to me, please?
It's right there.
Okay, so Barb votes in the city of De Pere at the First United Presbyterian Church, wards 1 through 4. So this software program says that there were 4,031 ballots, 1,518 went to numbnuts, 2423 went to Donald Trump for a voter turnout of 97%. That's the registered voter turnout that we use. I don't care what anyone says, including Megan Wolf, Polly, who you and Matt saw myself and regular Joe talk to with Representative Tussler at the golf course in Shorewood on March 28th. Do you remember when we went through this? She goes, well, that's not how we expressed it. And regular Joe, well, how do you express it then? Joe is so diplomatic. I was like, Joe, calm down, take your medicine, Japers. And she goes, well, we measure it, and I shouldn't do this, this is not polite, but I will anyhow. She goes, well, we measure it by the voting age population. And Joe says, well, who cares? If they're not registered to vote, they don't count. Well, and Joe goes, well, let me ask you a question. If I have 100 people here and they're registered to vote, and 94 of them vote the day of the election, what percentage is that? And she goes, well, that would be 94%. Thank you. You go, this is unbelievable. Am I right? That was fun, wasn't it? Oh, one of the funnest things you can do with your clothes on. Barb, thank you. Thank you. Did I say that? By the way, WTMJ Channel 4 in Milwaukee, in a rare act of journalism, remember the Eric's Mover list? They went and did an investigation report. Guess what they found out? Exactly what I told you. Well, people don't even live here. Bunch of nonsense. Okay, night of the election. Here's the email exchanges. And just so you know, somewhere up here, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of email between the Zuckerberg, oh, here they are, right here. Between the Zuckerberg 5, and Polly, you and Matt know this. You've probably seen some of these things. And you're welcome to take pictures, but I just want to give you 3 or 4, and then we'll get to the remedy and move on with questions. So this is Michael Spitzer Rubenstein. You guys know who he is, don't you, Matt and Polly? He's a bad egg. He'll have a orange suit on, too. So smug. Oh, my God in heaven, that man needs to go to jail. So I called Michael Spitzer Rubenstein because he's really nice to give us his name, his organization, his title, his email, his phone number. Do you think he called me back? No, I don't think so. But here's what he said. Remember the Wisconsin 5, Racine, Kenosha, Green Bay, Milwaukee, and Madison. Here's just one of hundreds of thousands of emails where they ran the elections. Hi, Tara, and this is October 20th. This is the first day of early voting. Their numbers weren't coming out. They were in an all-out panic. Tara is the clerk from Racine, Tara Coolidge. Amber is a damage control consultant because they knew if they got caught doing this, there would not be enough money in Fort Knox to pay for damage control. Here's what they said. And they looked at all of you just like I'm looking at you and said, we don't care. Your vote doesn't matter because we've got to get numbnuts into office. So hi, Tara and Amber. It was great to meet you in person yesterday. Now, this is the COVID. We're all going to die. But they met in person. Isn't that something? She's from Racine. What a lovely person. And we should be soon to go. Listen. We should be soon to go with the full ballot trafficking system. They had the software. Whoa. Sorry, Joe. I think that's Joe Biden. My gosh. This is terrible. I know. Okay, get out of here. Hi, Joe. Anyhow, so they had a full ballot trafficking system. It gets worse. Do you want to plan to speak Friday or Monday to go over how to use it and make sure you're all set? Whose job is it to get people to the polls to vote? Is it the city clerk? It's you. Not in Green Bay, not in Racine, not in Kenosha, not in Milwaukee, not in Madison. He goes on to say, and then for the map, I was able to download the ward shape file. They had this down to every single street. Who voted, who registered, absentee, in person, nursing home, indefinitely confined, Eric's. They had it all. They go on to say, so all I need from you is the data from Wisconsin. There are two ways to do this. You can run counts by ward for active voters, absentee ballot applications, and ballots returned. Well, what a guy. He's so sweet. You can download the full list of active voters and absentee ballots with ward, district combo, and ballot status reason for the absentee applications, and I can process everything so you don't have to. That's the guy you guys saw the night of the election. He's a bad egg, isn't he? Thank you. So then, the same dude gets a hold of the clerk, and I think this is your clerk. Yes. Chris Teskey, just before she quit. So he says, hi, Chris. Now listen to this. Nobody touches your ballot except you. But listen to what this scoundrel wants to do. Hi, Chris. Can we help with curing absentee ballots that are missing a signature or witness signature or address? Why is that important? Because you need the name, the signature, the witness, and the address. If you don't have them, it's rejected. Only 4,270 out of 2 million in Wisconsin, in the worst pandemic and the worst chain of custody that we've ever had for any ballot, anytime, anywhere, 4,270. He goes on to say, we have a process map that we've worked out with Milwaukee for their process. We could also adapt the letter they're sending out with rejected absentee ballots along with a call script alerting voters. We can also get people to make the calls too, so you don't need to worry about it. Man, this guy's just a charmer. And then he talks about Celestin Jeffries, mentioned curing ballots might be something we could take off your plate. Isn't she a charmer? Yeah, she's wonderful. When would be a good, you see the pattern here? Then this is the coup de grace. This is going to make you sick. Please, I beg you to take a picture of it. So at 4:07 in the morning, after the 18-minute period between 3:26 and 3:44, Donald Trump's ahead by 110. 170,000 ballots come in from a lost flash drive. 20 go to Trump. He's ahead by 130. The remaining 150,682 go to numbnuts. And here's what the clerk from Milwaukee laughs about. She's laughing about this. I don't know about you. This isn't funny. My ancestors didn't come to this country with not a dime in their pocket, barely clothes on their back, no food in their stomach, and they came to this state and settled in a little dinky area called Laval, Wisconsin by Reedsburg with a bunch of trees and a horse, and they had to build a cabin. They didn't come here so this lady could laugh at us or your family, even if you are German. Are we having fun, Joe? You're something else, man. So another bedwetter from Mark Zuckerberg, his name is Ryan Chu. He's in his mom and dad's basement with his jammies on at 4:07 in the morning because he just got the news that Wisconsin went to Biden. So he sends an email to Claire Woodall Vogue and says, he swears, I don't. It rhymes with am and starts with a D. It says, blank Claire, you have a flair for drama, delivering just the margin needed at 3 a.m. He says, it gets worse, Joe. I bet you had those votes counted at midnight because there was hardly anything left to come in from the whole state of Wisconsin. They had exhausted every one of these doors, and they still did not have enough. And he says, and just wanted to keep the world waiting. Why is that key? Because he knew if Wisconsin went to numbnuts had the necessary 270 electoral college votes. She responds 10 minutes later at 4:17, LOL. That does not stand for laugh, look out Larry. It stands for laugh out loud, I'm told. I just wanted to wait to say I had been awake for a straight 24 hours. Claire, this is not funny. Guess who has this information? Justice Gableman. Guess who's suing Justice Gableman? The Democrats. Justice Gableman has subpoenaed the machines. Justice Gableman has ordered all the clerks, 1,852 of them, and 1,847 of them are great, except Racine, Kenosha, Milwaukee, Madison, and Green Bay. But we're told now that Kenosha is starting to cooperate because they're not going to jail for this nonsense. So that was the night of the election. So that is the 8-point plan. Okay, what's the remedy? Where do we go from here? Where are we now? Are we doing okay so far? Glad you came? I know, this is amazing. Don't say anything. What's your name, Edna? That's close enough. Thank you. This is just crazy, isn't it? Oh, don't do that. You're very flirtatious, yeah. So, here's where we're at. With these 8 doors, are the Democrats going to send out registration voter request forms and absentee ballot? Of course they are. Is that legal? Sure it is. Is it ethical? Not the way they do it in my mind, but we're going to forewarn. That's why I want you to send the stuff in. Are they going to go to the nursing homes? They probably will, but now the special voting deputies are back, so instead of a pool of 92,000, they're probably going to be down to about 4,000 or 5,000 for the entire state in the 1,121 homes. Do they have the ballot drop boxes? Nope. We know it's a minimum of 137,000 in Milwaukee, Brown, and Milwaukee, Brown, and Racine counties. So that pulls 137,551 on top of the 92,000. Now we're up to 250,000 that they have to come up with some other way. That's why you're going to be flooded with these registrations and absentee ballot requests that you do not request. Then they're also not going to have the Eric's Mover list, a pool of 232,000. 232 and 230 is 462,000 that they no longer have a pool to cheat from. Then the indefinitely confined, boy, they're going to be watched like a hawk. 222,000 people that are not indefinitely confined are going to be able to vote this year under that designation. We can't quantify that like the other things, but they can't. So where does that bring us to today as far as closing these loopholes? We're going to be in the shorts and underwear of Claire Woodall Vogue and Tara Coolidge and Celestin Jeffries. You guys are going to be there this year, aren't you? And you're not leaving, are you, Polly? And you better bring that rascal along with you. Because if you don't, then I'm taking his place, all right? Because they cannot cheat like this again the night of the election. And we passed legislation that said you cannot stop counting. You got to stay there until you get, guess who vetoed that? Tony. Hi, I'm Tony Evers. Yeah, this is great. Whatever. Okay, so we closed all of those loopholes. Where does that bring us to today, and what's the remedy? This is the most exciting takeaway after understanding this, and that they're going to do it again in 2022. What you're going to hear now will change your thinking and your heart and stimulate you to leave here tonight and go, oh man, if that guy's telling anything close to the truth, I think we're going to be okay. Here's where we're at. With the ruling of the Wisconsin State Supreme Court that the ballots are illegal, and don't think that the Wisconsin Election Commission is not going to try and usurp that ruling somehow, because they already met 2 days ago on Tuesday, the Democrats and the Republicans, trying to figure out how to get around that. But thank God the 3 Republicans said they were deadlocked. What do you got, Polly?
They already sent out a letter today by Megan Wolf, just not stating the proper notice about turning in your ballots. They tried to make it look like they were doing it on the right side, but they were.
Yeah, they're going to do everything they can, right, Polly? So you guys got to be the ears and eyes for that. So the recommendation from the Wisconsin Election Commission, Megan Wolf, I'm assuming she sent it to the clerks, all 1,852 of them. They're kind of skirting the Supreme Court's decision, which we'll come to during the question and answer period so I can get to my close. Is that okay, Polly? And please ask, I'm sorry, to the media? Well, of course, because they're in her back pocket. And ask Corey no more interruptions, please. All right, thank you. Or you can go sit in the car, Corey. Just kidding. So here's where we're at. Justice Gableman is going to make another report. True the Vote is going to go apoplectic a week from tomorrow. Week from tomorrow. You give me your email address, we'll try and get you plugged in. Because this is going to, they said, you remember 2,000 Mules and Rigged and Code 2020 and all that kind of stuff? They said what they're going to release is 10 times worse than that. They said it will make you forget everything about 2,000 Mules and how you thought elections were run here in America, both from a cyber standpoint, a ballot standpoint, and an auditing standpoint. I can't wait. I don't think I'm going to sleep for the next 7 days. So True the Vote's going to bring stuff out. Justice Gableman's going to do it. I've already mentioned Brown and Racine because True the Vote did, but we also have 2 other law enforcement agencies that are working on 2 tracks. The cell phone ping data video footage and nursing home fraud, above and beyond what Justice Gableman knows. So that's going to be coming out, we hope, soon. Soon being before November, okay? One thing I forgot to mention to you, 5.40, is that right here, Mrs. Delane? Yes, okay, take a picture of that before you go home. There are 778 populated communities in Wisconsin. 657 of them are under the population of 7,500 residents. If you're in one of those 657 cities, you do not have to use these electronic voting machines. The Wisconsin state statute says you can just have paper ballots. And if you have a clerk, how long does it take to count 117 ballots? Or 1,017 ballots? Or 2? It doesn't. Get rid of these machines because almost all of them are compromised. And when Robin Voss said they're not hooked up to the internet, Robin Voss is not being truthful. If they have a modem in them, you have access to the Wi-Fi. Not to go buy a pair of pants online from Kohl's with your Kohl's cash card. That's not what we're talking about. But if Nathan and Shawano has a Dominion machine, and Joe in Green Bay has a Dominion machine, and Barb in De Pere has a Dominion machine, and they all have modems, they can all interact with each other, and she can change him, and he can change him. And don't think they can't, because they can. And anybody that tells you different, as my dad would say, I can't help you. So if we got Justice Gableman, True the Vote, 4 law enforcement agencies, and don't forget, I forgot to mention this, I went to Dane County Sheriff, DA, and the Attorney General. I went to the Milwaukee County Sheriff and DA with this data from True the Vote because people in their county are the ones stuffing the ballots. And I haven't heard from them yet. It was 3 weeks ago yesterday. Well, I'm going to give them a follow-up phone call. Because if they're complicit in this and do not follow their sworn oath of office duties, when they know of felonious behavior that affected the outcome of an election, they're in big trouble. So here's where we are today as I speak. We have started the process, our volunteer group. And again, I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not trying to embellish. I'm not trying to be a hoist in my own petard. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. I think it's a Latin term for you're not a big deal, but I don't know. If anyone knows Latin, tell me afterwards. So here's the deal. We have pulled together on a preliminary basis, what's today, Thursday? We started, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, to our national security and election integrity team. These are the most brilliant people in America from these perspectives. The Constitution, data, science, voting machines, and kinematic processing of the paper ballots. We have a guy that can put that ballot through his kinematic process and tell you in seconds if that's a real ballot approved by the paper, or if it's a copy, or if a human being filled it out, or a copying machine did. We are on standby, pulling this team together. Nathan, you know this, you've seen these guys. We will fly them into Wisconsin. We'll pay for their airline, we'll pay for their food, we'll pay for their hotel, because you know what? Nothing else matters. You can have my retirement, my home, my cars, my everything. You can have it all if we don't have this. So we are right here, up to here. And a guy named President Trump knows about this because Wisconsin is right here. And if we go the way that I'm going to tell you it can happen, that's 10 electoral votes. That puts numbnuts from 306 to 296. Georgia and Arizona would be the two next likely states to fall following our lead because they're the closest of the remaining four, including Michigan and Pennsylvania. However, we have a problem. Arizona's 11 electoral votes. Georgia's 16, ours is 10. That's 37 from 306, puts us at 269, which leaves numbnuts with 269 and Trump with 269, which means Nancy Pelosi makes the decision. Do you want that? No. So here's where we're at. We're working very, very closely with Michigan and Pennsylvania under the radar screen to try and get one of them to please, and do you guys know who Doug Mastriano is running for governor? He's on our side. And he will get this done in Pennsylvania. So here's the 5 takeaways based on what the Supreme Court said. I still can't believe they did it. I just can't, but thank you, Lord. And then the revelation today about Robin Vos. Write this on your piece of paper. Go to The Gateway Pundit. It is a national website. And they broke this story today about Robin Vos and the videos. You will see the videos when you get home tonight if you go to The Gateway Pundit. You might have to read my name in there, and I hope that's not too offensive, because I gave them the information. Anyhow, so it's on there. Now, this is so serious because here's the 5 takeaways here in Wisconsin. John Eastman is Donald Trump's personal constitutional attorney. He was the brains behind the January 5th letter that 15 members of the Wisconsin Assembly and Senate signed, including Andre Jacques. Isn't he one of your senators up here? He had the courage to sign it, and the conviction and the commitment. Courage being, I don't care what you say, this is, I'm going to do this. He had the commitment. Once I'm in, I'm all in. And he had the conviction. Is this the right thing to do? You bet it's the right thing to do. But what happened? The letter of those 15 signatures with the evidence, not what we have here tonight, because we didn't know hardly anything in January of 2021 like we do now. But that letter was sent to Vice President Pence from John Eastman, saying there's nothing magic about January 6th. It's not in the Constitution. There's no federal election law that says you have to do it. All we're asking, Mr. Vice President, as you oversee the proceedings to certify the electors, is give us 10 days. And we'll have Matt Gaetz from Florida and Jim Jordan from Ohio and Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin and Senator Ted Cruz from Texas in the Senate and in the House to debate for 12 hours, consider the preponderance of evidence, and after hearing this, if it is believed that these electors can't be certified because of the election fraud that affected the outcome, then we don't certify them. Do you know what Mike Pence did? And we're supposed to sit here tonight, as intelligent as we are, and believe that some goofy guy with horns on his head was going to take over the United States government because of insurrection? Who are you kidding? But Mike Pence, I'm sorry, I think was part of this. And history will show the whistleblower that came out on Monday through Gateway Pundit from the FBI was an informant with Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. He said, you got nothing to worry about these people. They're not. It's a bunch of hooey, just like COVID. So here's the 5 takeaways. According to John Eastman and Justice Gableman, and you need to write these down, and indelibly put them in your brain, because this is where we're going with this tonight based on what Robin Voss said today. I can't believe this is happening. I have been exhausted for a year working on this, but I'm going to get all energized and we're going to follow this thing through. Just so you know, I almost died Thanksgiving week of 2021. I got a really bad case of COVID, the rarest case where I was told I had so many blood clots in my lungs they couldn't count them. I had scar tissue on my lungs. I had strained my heart, pneumonia, fluid in my, I mean, you just name it, I had it. But I survived, much to the chagrin of the Democrats. But anyhow, because we're kryptonite to them, right? And you know what the difference is between a Democrat and a snake, right? There's some things a snake won't do. But anyhow, I digress. Sorry, Joe. You're a recovering Democrat, aren't you? Yeah. Here's the 5 takeaways, and then we'll do questions. Barbara, okay back there? Did Tim get back to us or no? You're good? We were in communication with, hopefully, the governor of Wisconsin, Tim Rantham, and we weren't sure what was happening. But So here's the 5 takeaways. Number 1, plenary, Plenary. Does the Wisconsin legislature, the Assembly and the Senate, have the constitutional given plenary power to call themselves back into an extraordinary session to reclaim the 10 electors? Not decertify the election results, not declare someone else the winner, just simply exercise their plenary power to call themselves back into an extraordinary session to temporarily reclaim the 10 electors until they hear the preponderance of evidence. That's takeaway number 1. The answer is yes. Stop it. Our researchers have scoured America, and it did not take us very long to find these 20 examples I'm going to share with you now. And if you give me your email, I'll send them to you so you can look really smart, but don't give me the credit. You take the credit. We found 20 election fraud cases that affected the outcome of that particular election at the federal, state, county, and local level between 1992 and 2022. 6 of the 20 cases were remedied by declaring a new winner. Because, Joe, you cheated so much, Melissa, you supposedly got second, but because he cheated so much and it affected the election, you're the new winner. We're going to declare you 6 out of 20. The remaining 14, we had a do-over, which Robin Voss said today that we can do. And I'll get into that in just a second, because that's one of the 5 takeaways. So do they have the plenary power? Yes. Second takeaway, simple majority. What does that mean? Melissa's the Assembly. We have 61 to 38 Republicans over Democrats in the Assembly. We only need 50 to 49 to call ourselves back into that extraordinary session under the plenary power clause of the Constitution. Joe, you're the Senate. We're ahead 21 to 12. We could lose 4 of you and still have a simple majority of 17 to 16. Now you've exercised your constitutional plenary power to call yourselves back into the extraordinary session under a simple majority and reclaim the 10 electors. Are you tracking with me? Here's the third takeaway. You do not need the concurrence of the governor. I am Tony Evers. He's out of the picture. Okay? He'll wet his pants, but he's out of the picture. Here's the 4th takeaway. These are legal terms. Write down maladministration, vitiate, and nullification. Why are those 3 legal terms so critical in these 5 takeaways? If an election was administered or maladministration, that election did not take place. If the maladministration affected the outcome of the election, then that election is nullified according to 783.03. And then the last one is fraud vitiates everything, which means it never happened. Here's the last and final takeaway, and then we'll get to questions. Number 1, the legislature has the plenary power to come up with a remedy. And in those 20 cases that I just explained to you, 6 of the 20 declared a new winner. 14 of the 20 had a do-over. Here in Wisconsin, Robin Voss today said one of the 2 options under the 5th takeaway is to have a do-over. And these are his exact words. You'll hear it tonight when you go home and get on the Gateway Pundit. He said when the person interviewed him from Wisconsin Speaker Voss, a lot of people want to decertify the 2020 presidential election. What is your opinion? And I don't think he realized what he was doing. I know Robin Voss. I'm in the minority. I kind of like him. And a lot of people are like, you're a fool, Davis, but I kind of like him. But anyhow, so here's what he said. Once someone is sworn into office, you can't go back and just simply decertify those results and declare someone else the winner or have a do-over. Unless, and his exact words were, comprehensive evidence of fraud that affected the election, then you can go back and do a do-over. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. I'm not apostolic, but I am right now, okay? Or Pentecostal, whatever one you want to be. Because I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're going to see that on the video tonight. That is one of the two remedies. The other remedy is this, according to the Constitution, when this happens. 783.03, Wisconsin Constitution and the United States Constitution says you can seat a new slate of electors. If those 10 electors agree with the preponderance of it, and it has to be overwhelming in Speaker Voss's mind to do this, we could seat a new slate of electors and give those 10 new electors to Donald Trump. Now, why is that key? Not only from the 270 threshold that we need, but listen to this and write this down. 22nd Amendment. In 1947, the House of Representatives, after Franklin Roosevelt died in April of 45, after getting reelected in 44 for the fourth term in a row, said we can't have this anymore. Stalin and who was the English guy at the time? Was it Churchill? They think Stalin took, not Stalin. Was it Stalin? The guy with the mustache from Russia? Was it Stalin? I think it was Stalin. Anyhow, they said he took advantage of Roosevelt because he was compromised. So they said, we're going to have they being the House of Representatives in the United States, 22nd Amendment, can't serve more than 2 successive terms in a row. And it was passed in 47, ratified in 51 by the majority of the 50 states. Remember, no, you guys aren't old enough. In 1963, John Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 63. Lyndon Johnson was vice president, was immediately sworn in. You saw the picture with Jackie with the blood on her pink outfit, flying back to Washington. He filled that term out. He ran and beat Barry Goldwater in 64 in a landslide. He was going to run again in 68, but the Vietnam War dragged him down, and Hubert Humphrey got beat by Nixon because George Wallace was the independent candidate. So people go, okay, what are you trying to say here, Davis? Here's the deal. We do not want Donald Trump to get back into office until January 21st, 2023. Why? Because the 22nd Amendment says if you serve less than 24 months of the existing term, then you can run for re-election again. So Trump won in 16, could fill out the remainder of the term that he really won in 2020, but because it's under 24 months, he could run again in 2020. How's that for a bag of chips? Is it Allison? Hi, Alice. You're still being flirtatious. Yes, thank you. So, and people go, oh, Davis, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. Okay, just stop with the nonsense. Okay, we're past that. We're not in 5th grade anymore. So here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. And this is where you come in. We were going to have a massive lobbying day at the Capitol to lobby the legislature, the Assembly, and the Senate to call themselves back into the extraordinary session. But that's before we found out about the Wisconsin Supreme Court decision and what Robin Voss was said today. That changes the whole landscape. Because here's what I think we're going to do. There's no media or press here, right? Except ZZ Top over there? Okay. Okay. I invited them too. Kind of get him to calm down a little bit back there, Polly? Okay. I don't know. Oh boy. From the same mom or what's going on there? But anyhow, so here's the deal. We have regrouped with our thinking because we're either going to take the route of 783.03 through the circuit courts back up to the Supreme Court, or we're going to do the extraordinary session. We were given a gift today from Robin Voss, who says you can do a do-over of the 2020 presidential election if the overwhelming evidence is shown and proven in a court of law that it affected the outcome. It can't be any more plain than that. So what we're going to do our legal, data, science, kinematic guy, machine guy, all that kind of stuff. We're going to think about this and see if we can ask for, we don't know, these are some things going around in our head. Do we want to have a private meeting with Speaker Voss and see if he's serious? Do we just want to go and do the 783 and support Tim Rantham's resolution to reclaim the electors that he introduced on Tuesday? Regardless, we're supporting Tim Rantham's resolution. He's the only guy out of 99 and 33 is 100 and what? 32 or 3 that has the courage to do and the conviction, the commitment. Yeah, thank you. I think I said that. No more outbursts, please. I know you are. All right. All right. So that's where we're at with this. If you give us your email address, we'll keep you up to date. Because where you come in is there's a 10-point plan. Talk radio, social media, send a letter to the editor, write a letter, go see them in person, call them, email them, go to their town hall meetings, and there's 2 others that escape my mind right now, but we're going to blitz that Capitol to get this thing done and do the right thing, and that's where you will come in, as well as being the eyes and ears for all of this. Does that all make sense? Let's have questions and answers. Okay, hearing none, we're adjourned. So the question up here is, I'll repeat the questions, and this is excellent because they're already doing that. It's not will they are. The question was, what if they try and throw another pandemic at us? Well, they are. And it's that goofy number and alphabets. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're going to do everything they can to reinstate the masks and all that. That's already in plan. So it's not will they are. And we'll keep you abreast of that as well. Thank you. Next question, please. Whoa, sorry there, Dino. You're going to go all the way back there? Oh, well, the lady with the Kelly green blue striped top on.
If it can make it.
Oh, make a line. All right. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay.
Well, I have a comment because I was in touch with my rep and another rep already about this court decision. And my rep answered back to me. Oh, now, of course, my phone had a flip. So, okay, he says, Rantham has good intentions, but if an election was overturned, the left would try to overthrow all of them. So he's already telling me.
That's a cop-out.
Yeah. I know. Right. I'm just letting you know.
Right.
That's Elijah Banky, so that's our guy, and you got to get after him.
Okay.
And the other one is Shay Sortwell. And
sure.
Shay Sortwell, when I told him that the Gateway Pundit had published some things, he just laughed in my face and put me out on Facebook as an idiot. So I just want you guys to know that's what's going on. I already contacted 2 of them, so we have to make a difference. We can't let go.
Just so you know, Representative Sortwell was one of the 15 people that signed that January 5th letter to Vice President Pence. He's been crickets ever since then.
That's
and I don't
right.
say that to be disrespectful.
No,
But here's the deal. Did you get those responses before Speaker Voss's revelation today?
Well, yes, they were just 2 days ago.
Send them send them the video that you're going to watch when you get home tonight of Speaker Voss saying we can do a do-over.
I just saw it before I got here. It was wonderful.
Did I accurately portray what he said?
Yes.
And tell me your first name.
Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. Oh, yeah, you're the polka queen, aren't you?
Yeah, well,
yeah, okay.
I will be. But, yeah, who knows? But,
all right.
Yeah, so but I'm just saying.
No, thank you.
I don't feel that the legislators are going to do anything. That's why I bring this up, because they're so under Voss's control.
That is very well-founded, which means we might go the 783.03 route to go through the courts, which might go quicker anyhow than the extraordinary session.
Okay, well,
but thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Yeah,
one more thing.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you, of
You're
course.
welcome.
I wanted to say when my friend's daughter was at Marquette University, and it was years back for Obama's election, they were encouraged to vote at school and absentee at home. And I just want you guys to be aware that that's been going on for many elections, that you probably won't hear about that, but that's what they've been doing.
Yep. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Appreciate it. Who's
Thank you,
next? Over to your right, Dino.
All right. No, we're good. So you wet your pants a couple times over Robin Voss.
Yes.
I have no faith in him. I think he will say it was taken out of context. I think he's a snake. I think he's always been a snake. And I think you got to go a different route other than him. But by the way, thank you for proving and laying out the facts that we all knew. I mean, we all knew that.
Right.
With the whole thing. But I worked with Todd Delane for 30 years. I retired a year and a half ago. And I am so sick that this is the problem with everything you laid out. Our CIA, our FBI, our DOJ are corrupt as all hell. And I'm sickened that I worked my entire career in law enforcement, and I'm seeing what they're doing to our country right in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And I think they trump everything that you guys are working so hard for. They will swoop in, and they're going to screw everything up.
Oh.
So I thank you for all you're doing.
Thank
but
you.
I'm super, super frustrated with the fact that nobody has handcuffs on them.
Right.
Nobody's in jail. There's so many layups here where
Yes.
people should have been arrested a long time ago.
Right.
And they should be locked up, and they haven't been.
Right.
And, well, Hunter Biden. Oh, that's a difficult case.
Yeah.
That could have been done by Brown County. All of the intel we've got a great forensic, computer forensics team.
Yep.
That whole thing could have been done long ago.
Yep.
But it's a joke.
Do you know
and that's what scares me.
Do you know Captain Poteet?
Very well.
Okay. Tell him I say hi. Yeah.
He actually lives a block away from me.
Okay, great. But thank you for your service, by the way, in law enforcement. And just a couple of brief comments.
Yes, thank you.
I'm thankful that the CIA, FBI, National Security in Wisconsin, I'm glad they didn't do this. Because you're right, they would have covered it up. I'm glad that True the Vote, Justice Gableman, Brown County, Racine County, and a couple other counties are doing this. Because I believe in Brown County and Racine County and people like you, and I think we're going to get some handcuffs. So thank you. Yeah. Over here, Dino. Would you be able to go closer to him? You have a lot of hair. If you want to give some of it to me. Yep. Yeah.
Do you think we were kind of blindsided in the election that all this happened and we really didn't know?
Right.
And it's been, a year and a half and we're still trying to figure it out. Do we have enough power, enough attorneys to fight this? I want to be positive about this like
Yep.
you are.
Yep.
But
So the question, well, everyone heard the question, and the short answer to the question is yes, because when I revealed the findings of this video this morning to the people that I needed to reveal it to, they immediately said, we're getting this to President Trump. And with that brings credibility, influence, and money, and attorneys as long as your arm. So the short answer to your question is yes. And that's a really good, because I'm just like you. I'm like, are you serious? When is this ever going to get done? And I think we're getting close to there. So I'm like a dog on a bone. I won't let go. Yes.
So if we have a do-over, and you said Trump could not come back to office until after the first of the year?
After January 20th,
Okay, so he could be sworn in on January
21st.
21st. Okay, so if we have a do-over, it would have to be the whole country, not just the state of Wisconsin, correct?
We only control the state of Wisconsin.
Okay, but I'm sure all these other states are doing this
Well,
as
they better, because I'm going to show up if they don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And we'll lead the charge there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, bless your heart. I appreciate that. And I know it's getting late and some of you have to leave. If we can do, where's Corey? Corey, is it okay if we do a couple more questions? Okay, because we got a tent out back. Some of us are staying overnight. So if there's more questions, I'd be happy to take them. And then before you leave, where is Sandy? Could you and your husband come and get these clipboards? And people that want to give us the emails, they could. And maybe Nathan, you could grab one too, please. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yes.
I have a brother that lives about a mile from here. He's a total quadriplegic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when he was voting last time, he says, I could never go in there. I can't do this. Like I said, I have a brother that's a total quadriplegic, which lives a mile from here. And he said, I can't vote because I can't get somebody to bring me inside because they don't have whatever. And I'm thinking, can't somebody go to his house,
Yes.
bring a vote, and have it all? He'd have his, everything he needs to
Yes,
do.
the easier way to do that, and what's your name again, Barbara?
Diane.
That's close. The easier way to do that would be to either he call the clerk or write her and say that he wants to. I understand that, but you asked could someone help him, and that's where I was going with that. They could assist him to get him the indefinitely confined, and then that ballot would come to his home, and it's okay to assist him under that situation, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but you said he can't write, to fill the ballot out, and can he sign it all? Okay, then there's another designation for that, so it's not considered cheating, and I can see you afterwards and get you that information. Thank you for bringing that up. And that's a very small minority of people, but still, they have a right to vote. Exactly, please.
This was our farm
Shut up.
years ago,
Here?
right in the corner of Overland and Sunlight Drive.
Dairy or beef?
Dairy.
Holsteins?
Yeah.
What was your milk test? Around 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3?
I don't know.
Were you-
Sometimes, we didn't test it back then.
Did you do milk cans or parlor?
Milk cans at first.
You did not.
Yep.
You lifted those things up? You ever drop one on your toe?
No, but on the cat.
On a cat! Wow, he is angry. 12 kids? Well, you had to be Catholic or a Protestant that was really aggressive, one of the two.
It was cheaper by the dozen.
Oh my, your mom and dad must not have had the internet. Okay, here we go.
My mom said we started out with nothing. We still got some left.
Oh, he's a mess. Yes, please.
I can't wait till next Friday. What should we watch for True the Vote when they're going to come out with that announcement? How are they going to announce
Right.
it?
So they are on Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's substitute for Twitter. Isn't that great what happened to Twitter? I'm so happy. But anyhow, they will release it via there, and they're going to have a press conference. I don't think I'm going to be privy to anything ahead of time, and I wouldn't violate them if I were, but it's going to be a barn burner, which will change the dynamics of the landscape here in Wisconsin. I'll guarantee you that, because everything I've predicted over the last year, almost all of it's come to fruition. Thank you for asking that question. I know, anyhow. Yes, oh, here we go. The mayor. Yeah.
Are you going to do another presentation somewhere else?
Yes, on the opposite side of the state, a week from, what is today? The 14th? So a week from tonight, I'm in Eau Claire, and I'd have to look at my calendar, but I'll come back anytime, anywhere. You name it, and I'll do it, even with Democrats.
Well, I would like to get other people to see your presentation.
You come up to me afterwards and give me your email, and Nathan will take your information, and we'll get that done. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We did live stream this on Constitutional Revival, so if you guys would be so kind, share it
Yeah.
on Constitutional Revival.
Yeah.
That is our page.
Did you cut out the numbnuts language that I used?
Nope.
No. Okay, good. Good. Maybe time for one more, and then I'll meet you before you leave. I want to be like at church and say goodbye.
Now that the mules know that they're being tracked with phones, what will they do? Just not use phones?
Well, we already, the question was, if they know they're being tracked, will they get rid of their phones? It's too late for that. That train's left the station.
So you don't think they'll use mules again?
Say that they won't use the phones again?
The mules.
I guess.
Mules.
Yeah, but what about them?
You don't think they'll be used again?
Oh, for this election?
The coming
No,
one.
because there aren't any ballot drop boxes. They're all being removed or covered up. They'll cheat a different way, but not that way. Because the only way Democrats can win are lie, cheat, steal, or sue us to death, which they had 425 lawsuits in the 2020 election cycle. And we don't have the kind of money to defend that Zuckerberg and Soros and Jeff Bezos and all those nonsense. Anyhow, all right. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll see you at the back door. Thank you again.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, just a few announcements here as we wrap up. I want to just thank you guys for being here this evening. Something that really important that we need to mention is, as you heard earlier, Jefferson Davis is in a volunteer role, and he's here also as a volunteer. So if you feel led to help support at all, you can go ahead and donate any kind of cash there, again, to cover his expenses as he's going around. He also has a Venmo account that you can donate to, and you can talk to us in the back to get the QR code, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys that QR code. And where is that QR code, Sandy? Did you? So Jefferson's Venmo account, if you'd love to write that down, I'm going to just go at it. It's D as in Davis, 58, E as in Edward, 13, J as in Jefferson, 11. So that's his Venmo ID if you'd like to just send him a thing, and just put a little food, hotel, or whatever icon on there so they don't block him from getting the funds. Okay, I'm going to go through it one more time. D as in dog, 58, E as in Edward, 13, J as in Jefferson, 11 is his Venmo ID, and it'll say Jefferson Davis there as well too. Next announcement, if you want to learn more about other events that we have going on, you can visit constitutionalrevival.com. You can go to the website there, and also we have a Facebook page too that you can follow. And if you guys want to sign up for a newsletter, if you'd rather just not look it up but have us send you the information, you can go to the back, sign up for the newsletter. We'd be happy to keep you posted on what's going on. So Dino, I know you've got a few announcements, so I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Also, Zoltan, a.k.a. ZZ Top from Flatline Studios, could use some donations as well if possible. I'd also like to thank Harbor Town Crafts. They are a Patriot-owned group, and they've on the parade, the first 20 people that show up, they'll give them to do door knocking. They will get T-shirts. And also, I'd like to thank Lynn Allard. She did a tremendous job calling people to come to this event. Thank you, Lynn. Everybody else, thank you very much for coming. I hope we see you at our next event. Have a great evening. Yeah, I know. I kind of put them right here so you guys can see this stuff. Well, yeah, I don't know. I doubt it's his only one, but I'll probably wait for him. Just if you want, just find him and ask him. I'm sure he'll help you out. Are you all shut down, Zoltan? Mic-wise? No. I was just asking to see. Turn it down. It's still semi-hot, but you're not very hot. Okay.
All those books are filled with evidence.